I am XTERRA.
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 I am XTERRA. I am XTERRA.
I am XTERRA.
I am XTERRA.
At the shores of northern Utah's Pineview Reservoir, a collection of off-road junkies prepares for a day unlike any other. This is the XTERRA USA Championship. If you're here and wearing a wetsuit, you've qualified by racing in this season's XTERRA America Tour. No matter your age or hometown, today is your chance at a national championship. More than 300 athletes representing 40 states take to the water as they begin their quest for glory. The first challenge? Try not to get too beat up in the XTERRA spin cycle. This 1 mile swim is the shortest discipline in terms of distance in this XTERRA challenge. But it's the part of XTERRA that many racers fear most. There's something about swimming at altitude in cold water while being punched and kicked in the face that is somewhat unsettling. Soon, though, the faster swimmers break away. As the lead pack approaches the first buoy in this triangular course, the early leader is amateur Patrick Valentine, who swam in college at Purdue University.
You know, in the swim, I think everyone can get very caught up with the adrenaline, being at a great venue with a mass start. So I use that to my advantage. I try to really go out the first 300 or 400 meters pretty strong and settle into my groove. I think with my background and expertise in swimming, I can more comfortably find the rhythm that's reasonable for me, which can help me get a nice lead on every one.
The early swim leader on the women's side is Canadian pro Christine Jeffrey. She was an All-American swimmer at Arizona State and is currently swimming stroke for stroke with XTERRA legend Conrad Stoltz. While you can't necessarily win the race in the swim, you can lose the race in the swim. Therefore, some pros try to capitalize on their strength in the water, while others try to minimize the damage.
Over the last couple of years, the rest of the field has really closed the gap in swimming. All the other competitors have really worked on training on their swimming. I don't expect as much of a gap as I have in the past.
I'm not delusioned when it comes to the swim. I'm not going to be exiting, with the leader out of the water. I'm going to be, anywhere from, 1 minute on a good day, 3 minutes on a bad day. So I'd like to be closer to a minute back.
It's rough there. A lot of kicking and punching, and so really to try to get out fast. That's always my strategy. Whether it always works or not is another story, but really to get out fast and stay on some of the quicker women's toes and see how long I can hang on there.
Hanging on to the women's lead is Christine Jeffrey, who seems to glide across the water with little effort. This XTERRA swim is made up of 2 laps around the triangular course. One more lap to go, and then racers will transition to a 19-mile mountain bike ride. Then their day will be capped off with a 7-mile trail run. The XTERRA USA Championship in beautiful northern Utah is underway. At the XTERRA USA Championship just outside of Ogden, Utah, the lead swimmers are almost done with lap 2. First out of the water is Patrick Valentine, an amateur from Colorado Springs, Colorado. His moment in the sun will be short-lived, however, with pros like Seth Wheeling and Brandon Rakita right behind him. Like last year, pro Christine Jeffrey is the first woman to make the charge up the ramp. It's a short uphill sprint to the transition area where swimmers will ditch their wetsuits and grab their mountain bikes. Rakita and Wheeling will want to make their transition quick because three-time XTERRA world champion Conrad Stoltz is now on dry ground. Race favorite on the women's side, Canadian Melanie McQuaid, is also making her way to transition.
Oh, I hope there's a target on my back because, you know, I came here to win. If I have the race that I'm capable of, I can win, and I've won more times than I've lost on this course. Even though it's not necessarily the best race for me because altitude's never really been it's not an advantage by any stretch. I'm just hoping that the work I did on my run is going to really show on the weekend.
Seth Wheeling is the only American man to have ever won the XTERRA USA Championship. He won it in 2006 when the race was held in Lake Tahoe. He'll need a strong bike if he hopes to repeat that feat today. The men's defending champion, Frenchman Nico Lebrun, comes out of the water with Scotland's Leslie Patterson, who took third here last year. South African Conrad Stoltz took second here last year after being overtaken by Lebrun on the run.
This summer last year was really hard. So this year I'm definitely in better form even though I've had injuries coming in. Nico beat me by I think 30 or 40 seconds last year, so if his form is the same this year, I think I'm in better shape than I was last year and hopefully it's a closer race.
Women's race leader Christine Jeffrey rides the trail along Pineview Reservoir. Colorado pro Josiah Middahl leaves transition just ahead of three-time XTERRA world champion Melanie McQuaid. Up ahead, Brandon Rakita has the overall race lead, but it is early, with some tough mountain climbing ahead. It's the kind of terrain that defending champ Nico Lebrun grew up riding in the French Alps. Leslie Patterson, who lives in San Diego, has been sleeping in an altitude tent to prepare for this Utah climb. Colorado pro Shawnee Van Landingham has no problems biking at altitude. But a 5-minute deficit after the swim is not what she had planned. There's some action up ahead as South African Dan Hugo sprints past Rakita for the lead. Melanie McQuaid and Nico Lebrun are in catch-up mode after dropping a couple of minutes to the swim leaders. Hundreds of amateur athletes are still swimming in Pineview Reservoir. One of those swimmers, Michael Stone, has a guide to lead the way. That's because Michael is legally blind.
I have cone rod dystrophy. It's one of several retinal degenerative diseases which eventually render people like me blind. I struggled with my sight my whole life, never knew really what it was. My struggles were mostly in the classroom. I did very little in the way of sports. I was actually terrified of sports. After being hit in the face with a baseball, not being able to see a baseball, I decided sports weren't for me. In 2000, I went in to renew my driver's license and I failed the vision test. I was absolutely terrified. I didn't know what was happening. I'd seen every doctor in the world and no one had any answers.
Eventually, the diagnosis came. It was a tough period for Michael, but he refuses to be confined by his blindness.
I fight the why me feelings every day, but it's a daily challenge that I kind of welcome. XTERRA to me is making the most of my life. Rising above helps me define my limitations and push beyond them.
All right, left. A little bike, a little run.
Michael's condition impairs the light receptors in his retina. Instead of living in darkness, his world keeps getting painfully brighter. A tough challenge when you are riding unpredictable mountain bike trails. Miles ahead in Wheeler Canyon are Brandon Rakita and Dan Hugo, who share the race lead. This is the part of the course where Conrad Stoltz likes to make his move.
Wheeler Canyon is very early on in the bike. It's extremely rocky this year. He's still sorting the chalk from the cheese at that time. Some of the swimmers are falling back quickly. It's usually where I start moving up into the race. It's crucial because you can easily throw your race away by going too hard up Wheeler Canyon.
He was the first pro out of the water, but Seth Wheeling now finds himself in 4th place. Leslie Patterson is trying her best to get around a group of riders. She doesn't want to fall too far behind Melanie McQuaid and Christine Jeffrey, who are riding less congested trails here in the Uinta-Wasatch Cache National Forest. Conrad Stoltz is the most decorated XTERRA athlete ever. A small opening is all he needs to quickly move from 3rd to the race lead. At the XTERRA USA Championship, the men's leader is exiting northern Utah's picturesque Wheeler Canyon. Conrad Stoltz had a 30-second deficit after the swim, but has quickly moved into 1st place. Trying to keep Stoltz in their sights are American Brandon Rakita and South African Dan Hugo. Hugo is an up-and-coming talent, but is still trying to figure out how to get maximum results at altitude.
One of the aspects I really like about XTERRA is that it is so different. We can have one course that really suits one athlete and another that is a totally different profile. For me, this course is what it is, and I really look forward to having a hit out. It's the first summer I've spent in Boulder, which is at elevation sort of midway on this course, so it'll be interesting to see how the body responds. Altitude is an amazing factor that affects everybody differently. You know, I can personally just do what I can with the variables, and if someone else is a lot faster, if a lot of guys are a lot faster, I'll cheer them on.
Christine Jeffrey had a 2-minute lead over Melanie McQuaid out of the swim, but that lead is beginning to evaporate. The defending champion is looking smooth and strong. Also picking up some ground are Leslie Patterson and Colorado pros Sarah Tarkington and Shawnee Van Landingham. With her cycling skills, Shawnee is a definite favorite here today.
I've had ambitious goals this year. It's my 3rd year of XTERRA, and I've had a pretty good season. I'm starting to figure some things out as far as training. So my goal is to win this race.
Inspiration abounds at any XTERRA race, and the true fighting spirit of XTERRA is embodied by racer 309. A 19-year-old young man from Alaska named Taylor Seavey, who is deaf.